Welcome to the Coffee Clutch, a social gathering for good conversation over a cup of coffee. Grab your cup and let's get started. I did something a little bit different this time around. I actually Googled popular rap songs and their lyrics. And one jumped out at me in particular, and it was called Laugh Now, Cry Later by Drake. And the reason this title jumped out at me was because it put me in mind of an old saying: act in haste, repent in leisure. I really wasn't totally certain what all the lyrics meant, and I wouldn't pretend to be up on popular rap songs. But the lyrics and this repeated refrain was interesting to me because it, like I said, it put me in mind of the act in haste and repent in leisure, which is an old saying. Once again, we go back to Aesop, who lived 2,500 years ago, 500 years before the birth of Christ. That's a long time ago. And we're always going back to Aesop because Aesop really understood human nature. His story was about the dog and the oyster, and the dog would go into the hen house and eat the eggs, and eventually he became so greedy he ate the whole egg, or the egg whole. And one day when he was walking along the ocean, he saw an oyster and he mistook it for an egg. And as usual, he just swallowed it whole. Didn't take time to see what it was, didn't take time to consider if it would be wise for him to eat this object on the beach. He just jumped right at it, swallowed it whole. So as you can well imagine, while he ate the oyster in haste, he had time to repent in leisure. You can imagine he was in a lot of pain with that oyster in his stomach. And this is something for us to remember. It's an important life lesson that when we make hasty decisions, we often lament the result. And as I said with this Laugh Now, Cry Later rap song, I admit I didn't really understand all the lyrics, but there was something rather lamenting about the tone of the song. He was lamenting something, and it seemed to be maybe a lost love. But be that as it may, the actual words, the laugh now, cry later, very similar idea. And the reason why this was even interesting to me was because mankind tends to think that they are modern and progressive and we're moving forward and we're doing things differently now, when oftentimes we're really not doing very much different at all. We're living life and experiencing things very similarly to those who have gone before us. And Aesop teaches us that over and over and over again, and it's what we see in our coffee clutch conversations. So what do we need to do? Why is this an important saying? It's important because, especially in our youth, we will do things rather rashly, and then we will regret it later. I mean, there's a wealth of things going on right now in this world for which we need to really be careful. I mean, just for instance, what we put on the internet, what we put out on social media can come back to haunt us years from now. Years from now, we might think that what we're saying now is quite acceptable and very progressive, and everybody's going to agree with me, but maybe 10 years from now they won't. Maybe 15 years from now they won't. Maybe 20 years from now they'll condemn me for it. So be careful what you do. Do not act in haste, because you will generally have a lot of time to regret the decision that we make when we make those decisions in haste. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have a free spirit and do things spur of the moment and impulsively and have wonderful and fun experiences. The spur of the moment road trip on the weekend, how fun is that? We've all done it before, just going with the flow and enjoying what we're doing. And actually, I think that's an important part of life, to be able to go with the flow and be flexible and change with things that change, and everything doesn't turn out exactly the way you want it to. So you have to be kind of flexible. But those aren't lifelong decisions. This saying is really Warning: be thoughtful about your life decisions, your marriage, who you're dating, the career you want to have, the person you want to be, the beliefs you want to uphold, the faith that you want to have. These are very important, life-changing decisions, and you need to be thoughtful about them. Have I really considered who I'm marrying, or am I just marrying the person I dated for the longest period of time? And so now, that's just the next thing you do. I mean, I know for most people out there, it's living together and then getting married, but I'm still old-fashioned. It was dating and then getting married. Still highly recommend that. And why do I recommend that? I recommend it because when you're not living together, you can actually see each other for who you really are. When you're living together, your relationship changes so drastically, and you may not really see that person for who they are. And you miss out on something. But that's a whole nother topic of conversation. My point here is be thoughtful and consider who it is you want to marry. What is the career path you want to take? That's a lot of money invested in college, and a lot of time, a lot of effort. So what's the career path you want to take? Be thoughtful about it. Okay, sometimes things don't work out the way you want, and you think you want to do one thing, and you get into that career, and it's not really what you always wanted. But if you can look back and say, well, gosh, I really gave consideration to this, just some things changed, and now I want to do something different, then so be it, and make that work for yourself. But it's really bad if you look back and go, I just did that because I didn't know what else to do, and this was what my buddy was doing at the time, and yeah, I don't even see him anymore. We're not even friends, but I just followed him in his career. Those are bad decisions, or bad reasoning behind the decision, and you will have time to lament. So, I would hope that you would take away from this video that you will take time to consider what you're doing. It's not a new idea. It's age-old wisdom from thousands of years ago. Plan, consider, be thoughtful. Take time to read about what it is you're thinking about doing. Take time to glean wisdom from other people. Make your decisions thoughtfully, carefully, and at least you won't have to lament that you did something very foolishly, as the dog that ate the pearl. As to laugh now, cry later, I'm not sure exactly who Drake was speaking of, but sometimes it's true. We can sit and be enjoying ourselves, thinking everything's fun and not taking things seriously. And as time moves on, we begin to realize we haven't been very prudent in the decisions we've made, and we will be crying later and lamenting later. So as we move forward in a quite progressive manner, sometimes we find out we really haven't gone very far. If you've enjoyed this little tidbit, push the like button, subscribe, and come back to visit. Grab your cup of coffee and enjoy your day.